Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the American Kid story. Is like right here is with the flag right here. It's like it with most of us can probably remember. It's like you so far as like if of course if you're going to be like what you call say in you say United States, it's like in America it is, but of course it could be maybe a story from Kuwait or say Saudi Arabia or say Australia or wherever, but anyway, but this is this idea is basically talking about a for American Kid story here, and basically is that I went ahead and drew right here. Of course, is the street right here, in and out right here is at the the details I went ahead and added right here is like for the house it is. You got right here is that is the deck, and then of course some trees. It's like so far as amount of rain that of course like knowing about that yeah from it's like this story of course would take place. It's like so far as it's like for a town say of St. Charles it is. But anyway, that for St. Charles, say St. Charles, Missouri, I don't even know if there was if there would be like what you call it, St. Charles, the St. Charles, said Lane, Illinois or wherever. But anyway, but it's like for St. Charles, Missouri, it is. But anyway, that what you have right here, I went ahead and displayed right here is that you got flags. You got these marks right here, markings right here for that represent for flags. It is, and of course, like with the flags, it is that knowing about it's like I can go ahead and maybe draw them, like draw some of them in there. It's like you got right here is the flag, and maybe there would be like what you call I think 3 or 4 houses further down. That's like if you were going east or wherever, east or west, you say on that road right there, say on Woodcliff Manor it is, but here right here will be as the house for where I used to live with my family. It was is that you got right here is the house. It's like say 3120 would be say the address, but anyway is talk about is like for the American flag say that it's like for the American Kid story it is knowing about this. I can still remember that back those couple years ago was say back in the year would have been about between 91 and 94, 95 it was. I think I'll go ahead and put like 1989 through 1995 because it's like knowing about that yeah I don't know it's like with the cities and counties is knowing about that it goes by like every year around this month. You say a month, around the month of June it is. You see, today would be, June, June the 7th, I think. Anyway, I know it's Saturday it is, but anyway, but I say of 2014. But back nearly, of course, over a decade, of course, is like knowing about, it's like that. Is doing like what you call is the studying about the American flag. It is knowing about that that they used to over there at the house where you used to live as say on Woodcliff Manor is knowing about that they would have it to where that they would mark each yard that they would put the flags in say in each yard it is, and knowing about to present. It's like I don't know how many flags. I would say at least 15. So if we say do the math problem, it is knowing about it's like what you say for 15 multiply that times 10 if there was 10 houses is knowing about about 100 and say 15 or say did the math right 10 10 say 10 houses say 10 if you do the math right do by 10 and then do another 10 it is, and you say that they probably say that all adds up, but anyway 150 it is so flags. And I would probably say that 10 subdivisions, I guess if you say 10 take 15 flags and you mark about 10 houses, and then maybe you do another 10 it is at it all that's adding up. It's like if you do the math right is that do the basic math right is knowing about if you do at least 3 or 4 subdivisions it is knowing about that that you'll buy 150 or so 138 or so flags all together just to mark in every yard it is. And of course it's like nowadays since they have it to where that they do a lot of things online that they may send you say Fourth of July, it is, Fourth of July message it is knowing about with everybody in everybody's yard. That, they may still do it at times, but really, if I can remember right, the last time that they stopped doing that would have been about back in 1995. It was early at 97, 98, something like that. I really don't know. I don't know exactly from whenever they stopped doing those, whenever they stopped putting them in people's yards, but I know people were also taking them, of course. But anyway, for independence, the pendants, for independence, it's like it's like knowing about with me that it's like knowing about, it's like you try to spell it, knowing about, that. But other than that, it's like for say, so people probably call it, it's like Fourth of July. And then of course, for July, for maybe for the Chinese, or say maybe the Japanese or something like that. They might, it's like the Sulika or something like that, but the Salakia or something like that. That they may have like what you call a flag, for represent, for their country, for that certain holiday it is. But I would probably say if I had a homework assignment those couple years ago, say back in 1994, is talking about, it's like a lot of people would say want you to write I think a sentence, and I can remember that whenever I was in school, a lot of kids here are probably thinking about whenever you're in school that you really don't want to read, don't want to write a report about how your holiday went, and a lot of teachers would probably say that they would want to put a star, I guess, knowing about, like, the way some teachers would probably go by is like if you want to mark a star, you say on your schoolwork is knowing about it, they would maybe mark a star, kind of like that right there. But write a sentence about what you did over the holiday was, over the 4th of July holiday. It's like you say is for barbecue. If your aunt or uncle or whoever had a barbecue, during that time or something like that. But I like that. It's like knowing about, it's like for the American Eagle. It's like really, the American Eagle really is like it stands. Say some people might say it stands for freedom, but on the other hand too, that knowing about it stands for the fact about knowing about the eagle. It's like knowing about for maybe the American Indians or something like that, or is to say the American Patriots or anything like that. Bringing our troops home from other countries, to say from the wars and stuff like that. But other than that, really, whenever I was in school, of course, that I did some studying, but of course, they probably think about is knowing about, ran out a little bit out of time for knowing about, who to talk about what. But anyway, I use these, these trucks right here as like kind of example of knowing about the neighbors, knowing if, for blue and then the red, and of course you say the American American colors it is, but they say they would be parked in the driveways it is, and of course got my glasses right here, and knowing about really that really any red, white, and blue say color on these. No, not exactly, just that knowing about that. The teachers used to remind me a lot of times to bring your glasses to school, because a couple of times I think I've left them at home a couple of times. But other than that, is knowing about that, that if you're going to be in school, it is that thinking about that, it's happened to me a couple of times before. I would maybe forget to bring an assignment to school whenever it was due. And just knowing about, hey, it's due today. Like, well, I'll bring it tomorrow for sure. But anyway, the people probably think about that stuff that happens, but on the other hand, too, that they may give you extended period of time to where they can turn in an assignment, or they may say that if we don't have it by today, then it's a 0, or if it's minus 10 points or something like that. But anyway, but basically, as I went ahead and drew right here, of course, is the house where I used to live at, and then, but knowing about the fact that with these trees right here. But every year, I can remember around the 4th of July holidays, I would get excited a lot of times, is to see that around the 4th of July that they would put flags inside people's yards, and I don't even know if they still do that. I'm thinking that they may still do it at certain places. It is, but on the other hand, too, that knowing about that they probably say that they used to be made out of, you say, a real strong, sturdy wood it is, and then now they're made out of plastic. And then knowing about with the American flags nowadays is that you have, these right here will be, we'll say, made out of, say, a cloth material, which, this is the biggest American flag I got, of course, that they say you can mount it outside. But on the other hand too, that knowing about with the flags it is knowing about, it's like for an American kid story it is knowing about with me that you probably think about is that yeah, whenever I was a kid, you think about knowing about it's like what's the best thing that would help you be able to remember stuff. It could have been something important too, is knowing about that, yeah, if it was something that you had to take care of right around the 4th of July it was, or maybe it could have been a flood or tornado, whatever it was, some severe weather that came by, and just knowing about that, yeah, do you remember where you were during that time and during that year it was. And a lot of people probably think about that, yeah, but on the other hand too, that they may say that, well, I only remember a little bit. But a lot of ways that I keep thinking about that, yeah, if a kid could have the opportunity to where they can draw from what they can remember. Of course, this is not all what I can remember. I could maybe, like all my other colorings, I could maybe go on for details about what all I can remember really. It's like knowing about that drawing, like you got right here is the street right here, and then of course you used to ride my bike, of course, right here, of course catch a school bus right on the street right here, and then the details of the houses, and of course that new subdivision that they built right there is like where there used to be a field. But anyway, I'm sure like with anybody, if they were to draw out from what they can picture in their mind from the house, the subdivision for where they used to live, and just knowing about that, they were talking about something, and just knowing about that, yeah, that really, did they let you do something like this in school? Maybe sometimes. I know with me that not really. A lot of times I can remember it was either done on paper, they would want you to write something, or anything that had to do with maybe drawing or working with colors and stuff, more likely I would be able to do. But if I remember right, whenever I was in middle school, a lot of times that my parents can maybe be honest with me also, is to know that the teachers gave me for whatever grade it was, because really that I would just draw the picture, and just knowing about what can you talk about in this picture. It was like the street from where I lived, the street where I lived, and street where I lived, and then of course is knowing about that, yeah, that really that parents probably think about. It's like knowing along with the teachers, is knowing about that if you didn't bother to write down the date to say, it's like from what date was it, July the 2nd, you say, and people probably think about back in 1991, what day do you think that would have been on? I would probably say it was pick the day in random, but go ahead and say it was like a Tuesday. Maybe check it out on the calendar's website, but I would probably say I guess it was a Tuesday that for July the 2nd of 1991 was. But anyway, people probably think about that, yeah. It's like maybe double check it just to make sure. But on the other hand too, knowing about that, yeah, so far as the American Kid Story is talking about is like the things that you can remember, and of course that you may not be able to explain everything, but then of course on the other hand too, that knowing about is like it's like for the American Kid Story is knowing about that, yeah, is that ability to maybe let the kid have let that person have the opportunity to where they can actually do something other than maybe writing. And then of course if writing is required on most of the paperwork, it is, and that more likely that's like knowing about really, it's like that I'm sure that one of these days that the teachers are going to say, it's like if you're going to maybe write some things down, and just knowing about that, you look at a map and just knowing about the types of maps that they have you do nowadays, and just knowing about, yeah, that there may be some teachers that may say that a lot of their students will probably say that a lot of that work is hard, it's hard, and that with most teachers and students it is, with parents and guardians it is probably thinking about, if it is hard, such as anything that you do on a computer, if it's Google Map or if it's Yahoo Map, MapQuest or whatever, and just knowing about the fact about the things that you can really see online nowadays, is just knowing about that. The things that you can maybe draw out, if I say it's it's great, it's that you could actually be able to look at somebody else's work. It is just like knowing with my work right here, and just knowing about the fact about the details that I think I can go ahead and add to the property right here, but the details from what I can remember about the land. But on the other hand too, that there may be some people that may think about, if you had a variety of colors, of course, right here, and just knowing about that, that it's not, that it's too hard. And I would probably think about, suggest to anybody that if something's really hard enough to the point where you just don't want to mess with it or whatever. But on the other hand, it's like, to draw a star, it's like the star could also mean, it's like, for give yourself a thumb. It's like for good luck, say good luck, you say charm. It's knowing about, it's like, for the thumb, with that thumb, it's like talking about, it's like you give yourself credit, for what you have done. But other than that, is knowing about that, I guess anything, like my parents said, I'm sure the president has said, the governor has said before, that anything, anything that you do, more likely anything that you want to do, anything that you maybe have to do, is not all easy. But on the other hand too, that knowing about is that if there's any better answer other than the fact about, it takes time, doing your best. It's like knowing about how to work a calculator, or maybe knowing about, maybe memorizing every state it is in the country, and every city it is. Just it's hard to memorize it. But on the other hand too, to think about is like, that one of the easy parts to get started with, and just knowing about, from where you're located now, of course, is the way, say, for a good starting point. And a lot of people probably think about, it's like once you start, you don't know where to stop. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that, hey, at least not only that all you talk about, knowing about, for whoever's interested, is knowing about, whoever asks. It's like knowing from that time of the year or whatever you call it, it's like, share with me for what you can do. But other than that, is talking about, it's like for the American kid, so far as standing for, say, is for, I can remember doing that in class, is knowing about that Star Spangled Banners. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the flag of the republic for which it stands, for under God, international, for liberty and justice for all. And so far as the American flag, it says American Kid Story.